and Let Live is the title of your talk, Jefferson.
Yes. Live and let live. I had to put a title to my talk. I have a slight clue of what I'm going to say, but not much of one, I have to admit. But then I usually don't have a clue anyway, so it's not much difference. Live and let live. How I think about this is that it is, well, differentiated sameness, if you want. The universality of human quest, that's the topic of this conference. And we are all really the same, as I think by now we should have got that message, that we are really all the same. We have the same needs, we have the same purpose. Meaning is one. Forms are manifold. So our origin is the same. Our destination is the same. Our purpose is the same, but our paths can be different. And I think this thing, to be able to hold these two realities alive, to be aware of them all the time, or at least most of the time, or at the very least some of the time, is very important. That at the same time as I can be open to the possibility of there being multiple paths, or rather the necessity of there being multiple paths. It's, if nothing else, if you feel the need to, you can go to the Quran, and the Quran says that if God has wanted to, He would have made everyone the same, but He clearly didn't. You know, He created us with all our different attributes, all our different shapes and forms, different colors, different languages, different cultures, different religions even. And it is intended, and it is good, and it is unavoidable. To be open to that, both to sort of, yes, you can hold the notion that there is a path that, at least for me, is the ultimate path. Maybe even I feel this path is so perfect and so fantastic, I want to share it with everybody else. But still be relaxed in that everybody is not going to share it. You may think that, oh, I've discovered this fantastic secret. I've got this diamond. I've got this pearl. I met this absolutely mind-blowing spiritual guide. Everybody should go to him or her, for that matter. But everybody won't. And it wouldn't even be desirable that it should be that way. So you may hold that. You don't have to hold that, but you may hold that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the missionary what shall I call it? Ambition of certain religions. Other religions don't have one. Like Judaism is not particularly interested in everyone in the world taking on the Jewish religion, because it is our religion. Why should others can come if they want, but we don't really care, because we're a people and we have our religion, and we're not interested in the whole of the world coming into that religion anyway. People just leave us alone and let us do our thing. That's fine. And you may be Christian and have the ambition that the message is for the whole world. You may be Muslim and have the same ambition. I mean, it would be not really honest to say anything else. So it's not that we can't allow someone to have that hope or that ambition. but it's not going to happen. Let's face it. So we have to be relaxed with and allow everyone to have their path. We have to leave everyone to make their own discoveries, to follow the way that God has laid out for them. We know that the origin is the same. We know the destination is the same. So what are we so worried about? Where else is everyone going to end up anyway? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. As this in the film, they said this man coming down from the mountains said, "Where are you from?" He said, "We are from God, or we belong to God, and to Him we will return." There's nowhere else to go anyway. To have this inclusive, approach, to be. It took me many years after coming into Islam and after studying to be an imam or whatever you call it, this sort of classical alim, meaning scholar, studies the theological studies of traditional sort of Islam or whatever you want to call it. A 7-year course, I imagine it's similar to becoming a priest. I certainly look at priests as my colleagues and hope they will see me as theirs. So obviously it's an indoctrination, let's face it. Studying theology is an indoctrination, at least if it is done confessionally. And if it's done academically, it's just another type of indoctrination anyway, so it's still indoctrination. It's a brilliant book written in the 60s, in the fantastic 60s, by a Swedish woman. I can't remember her name. Some of you probably know. Helena might even know her. It was called Barnindoktrinering nu. Child indoctrination now! Exclamation mark. And it's a wonderful book about how to bring up your children. And it's called How to Indoctrinate Your Children, basically because it took its sort of ethos from the fact that you cannot avoid it anyway, so you might as well be aware that you are indoctrinating your children. Better that than fool yourselves and others that you're not, because you still will be. How can you not? How can a teacher not indoctrinate her or his students? It's unavoidable. You have to. So just be aware of the fact. So to have this openness, to be relaxed really, because that's what Iman is about. What's Iman? Iman is not Aqidah. This is it's a word that Muslims sometimes like to use to bash each other on the head. Aqidah. You have to have the right Aqidah. You have to have the right belief. You have to have the right doctrine. It's doctrine. It's actually doctrine. And doctrine doesn't sound all that nice, does it really? Aqidah is the same word. That's what it means. It's a set of very, formulaic beliefs. It's belief put into a system and expressed as a doctrine or as a set of doctrines. Nothing wrong with that. But it's not Iman. It's not faith. It's not the same. Iman comes from the word Aman. Aman means security. It means the complete absence of fear, of threat, even better. The complete absence of threat. Aman is what you seek when you come from the enemy side, either having been caught or in some other situation, and you come with a white flag. Basically amnesty. Look, the same word, amn, just add st, you got it, amnesty. So aman means amnesty. So if your Iman, if your faith does not give you amnesty from all these worries, from all these concerns, from all this judgment, being judgmental about people and having to concern myself, is he or she on the right path? Does he really hold the right Aqidah? Or has she got the right doctrine? Or is she on the right path? Is he with the right guide? All these things. Drop it, leave it, relax. That is Iman. If your faith does not make you secure and at ease and does not give you amnesty and does not make you inclined to give others amnesty, what kind of faith is it then? What does the Prophet say? La imana liman la amanata lahu. That person has got no iman, that person has got no faith, who hasn't got who is not reliable, who is not trustworthy, who you cannot confide in. So, to be at ease, to be okay, just fine, I don't mind. It's okay. I can accept it. It's acceptance, like Islam. It's acceptance. Aslama. So these two words, Iman and Islam, which means to establish peace, to establish inner peace, and through that outer peace, and to establish welfare, well-being, absence from harm, like the Prophet said. I'll tell you the whole narration, actually, what the Prophet said at the time of his last pilgrimage. It's like his final word. This is my final word to Muslims for all time, or rather to the whole of humankind for all time. Ala ukhbirukum bil mu'min. What does he say? Shall I not tell you who is a true believer? Who is a person of faith? Who is a person of Iman? Who is a mu'min? There's some nice, really cute trolls in Finland as well. But, who is a mu'min? They're actually quite good mu'mins. If every mu'min would be like that, it would be fine. Anyway, who is a mu'min, he said, is man aminahu nasu ala dima'ihim wa amwalim, is the people to whom people can entrust their lives and their wealth, who is not a threat to anybody's material possessions, who is not a threat to anybody's life, who is not a threat to anybody's dignity. Dignity as among the sacred things. Just like life is sacred and property is sacred, so is also dignity sacred by the word of the Prophet. To steal somebody's dignity is as big a sin as stealing their wealth, or even not as big a sin, but it's as forbidden as taking their life. And then the Prophet goes on to say, and the Muslim. Who is the Muslim? The Muslim is the person, man salima an-nasu min lisanihi wa min yadihi, is the person from whose tongue and hand people are safe, who doesn't harm anybody with what he or she says or what he or she does, whose action does not cause anybody harm, and whose words does not cause anybody harm. And then he goes on to say, wal mujahid, who is a mujahid, who is a fighter in the cause of God, mujahideen and jihadi and whatever. Who is a true jihadi? That's what the Prophet said. Who is a true mujahid? Who is a true mujahid? Who is a true soldier of God, if you want to use that word? Man jahada nafsahu fi ta'atillah, is the person who struggles with herself, with himself, in the obedience of God. It's the person who works upon themselves, who works upon the ego, who continuously battles with the ego to be in communion with God, to be in unison with God, to be in the flow, to follow in the flow in which God's put them, to go with the divine flow, who makes an effort to tame, if you wish, the ego, That's the mujahid. And finally the Prophet said, wal muhajir. There are some misguided Muslims calling themselves al-muhajirun because they think they are like those people who emigrated from Mecca to Medina with the Prophet, peace be upon him. And some want to indicate that we are the original Muslims or whatever it is they think they are. And the Prophet is really putting them right when he says, well, muhajir, who is a true muhajir? Who is a true emigrant? The person who emigrates for the cause of God. Who is a true emigrant is the person who leaves behind sins and wrongdoings. That's what you want to escape from. Bad actions, things that harm yourself and others. Knowingly doing that which you know is wrong, which you know is harmful. It can be anything from eating the wrong diet to robbing a bank. They're all included in that sort of thing. Or thinking bad about a person. Looking down upon a person is one of the gravest sins. To insult a person, to destroy somebody's dignity is as bad as destroying the Kaaba. And the most Muslims around the world would be rather upset if someone would attack the Kaaba and started going at it with a sledgehammer or a big, one of these big machines with a big steel ball they have when they tear down buildings. You imagine the outcry there would be. But we are daily destroying people's dignity and no one is even lifting a finger or even, not even a wrinkle on the forehead as the Prophet expresses it, So to allow, to be relaxed, to not continuously be obsessed with what others are doing, what path they are choosing, what mistakes they are. We have to allow people to do mistakes. We learn by our mistakes. So if people are not allowed to do mistakes, then how is anyone going to learn anything? To be relaxed with that they are. This is what I mean by let live, to let others live, let people live. Don't try to control anybody, and certainly do not have the ambition to control everybody because it will destroy you. It may or may not destroy them, but it certainly destroy you. To let live and to live yourself is to know that even though I have this inclusive view, even though I am relaxed that people have their ways, they have their path, every person's relationship with God is unique and individual and is not affected by anybody else's relation to God. God is enough for all of us. We have the example of the story of Joseph in the Quran. Where his brothers are envious of his father's love for him because they erroneously think that the more our father loves Yusuf, the less he will love us, because they think that love has a limit. They think that love has a measure, that it can be divided into portions, and the more portions, the smaller each portion will be. What delusion? We have the same delusion when it comes to the love of God. We have to either somehow try to ensure, or at least imagine, that other people are further from God, to somehow think that we will be closer to God. So to be relaxed, to allow others to have their path, to have their ways, but still, and this is the challenge, still allow yourself to have your path. Just because you allow others to have their ways, just because you can be inclusive, doesn't mean that you cannot have a notion that this is my path. This is the way I have chosen, or rather God has chosen for me to approach God. And to be comfortable in that as well. As a Muslim, to be comfortable in that there are Christians and Jews and Buddhists and a different type of Hindus and Taoists and Confucians and atheists and whatever. But I'm a Muslim and that's fine, I'm okay, I don't have to be all of them. Well, I could, but no, I can be a Muslim, it's fine. Or I can be a Christian, or I can be whatever, it's fine. And also, look at it even in our spiritual paths, we feel that sort of or everyone has to be the same, everyone has to join my sheikh, or I have this sheikh, but or she, why not? Is not so well known. This is the great. It's like Ibrahim. Again, the Quran teaches us. What does Abraham do? Sun goes up. Whoa, this is it. This is it. Hada Rabbi, Hada Akbar. No, sorry. First he sees the star. Oh, shining in the sky. He doesn't do this. He is showing others. This is the method of teaching of Abraham. Abraham didn't go through this stage, I don't think, anyway. He used it to show his people. It doesn't matter. It's a metaphor. What is he doing? The star on the sky. Wow, this is so bright and shiny. This is my object of worship. This is my Rabb. And then the moon comes out. Whoa, I was wrong. I was wrong. The moon is the thing. It wasn't the star. And then the sun rises. And it all fades into insignificance. The moon and the stars, they just fade away. Hada Rabbi, Hada Akbar. This is my Lord. It's greater, it's bigger. And then the sun goes down. And then you realize there is only, as if my Lord doesn't guide me, then I will be among the misguided, and I will be lost. So it's the same way, you have a path, you have a way, you have a method, and then you hear about some other more fantastic method, and you think, oh, no, I have to try that instead. No, I have to try that. I mean, sometimes, yes, sometimes maybe the path you are following, or the diet you are on, or the guru you are following is not the right for you, then it's perfectly appropriate to change. But if you all the time would run and think that, oh no, this is better, you will never come anywhere, you will never go anywhere. To allow yourselves to have your path, Be comfortable in that and stick to it, and if this doesn't work, then try something else. But if it works, then why change it? So, you don't have to constantly be concerned that, oh well, this looks so nice, I'll have to go there, and this is, no. Have your path. This is live. So live yourself, follow your path, allow others to live, enjoy the multiplicity, the plurality, the different nuances, the variations that Allah has created, and still be comfortable with that I'm fine where I am as well. God has put me here. I was born in this context, in this culture, into this religion. Okay, if it works, then don't be too worried about it. They're all leading to the same goal. It's the destination that's important. Yes, some paths may be more suitable than others, but don't lose focus. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever position you have been put in by God, it is for a purpose. Just make the best of that. Just be with that. Be comfortable. Know that God loves you. And because of His love for you, He is constantly putting you, keeping you in the very position which is the best for you. It is not possible that there could be any place upon the earth that would be better for me to be right now than to sit here in front of you. That's why God has put me here. That is trust, that is iman, that is faith. And if I am in jail, then that's the best place. And if I am struggling somewhere or doing something else, then that's the best place. Okay, most of the time I don't realize it. I cannot, if I could all the time see that, then angels would probably come and shake my hands in the streets, as the Prophet said. We can't always have that. We can't always hold that level of awareness, that level of presence, that level of I can't remember really the term for it now. To be able to follow, to be able to be with it. Well, I don't know. That doesn't matter. It's just a word anyway. We cannot always be that sort of fluid and fluent that we may want to be or that we ought to be. That's fine as well. That's what we are. I mean, there's sort of. Look at the pebbles on the beach. How did they become so smooth? It was by being rubbed all the time, and all these things, all those sharp edges, all those corners, they were all rubbed off. It was a long process, and it is not, it's not painless. It's part of it. So God has placed me exactly where He has placed me, because that's the best place I can be at this moment in time. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.